like that. Here you are. Welcome to the show, Anders. Tell the people
Thank you.
about yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Anders Samuelson. I work in a group called Cloud Operations. So we work on tools and solutions to make it easier for you as a customer to manage your environment on AWS, like resource groups. We own a lot of the platform pieces, resource groups and tags, etc. So, and I do not have dog treats. I have nothing to drink, so I can't match up to you guys on that point. So sorry.
It's okay. We'll send them through to you.
Oh no, I won't. These drinks are for me.
They're all for you. They're
all for you. Oh man,
sorry. All right. So you mentioned a couple things there. I think I would hope most people are familiar with tags. If not, you need to get familiar with tags because they're a very good way of organizing, but they're not the only way of organizing applications these days either. Anders, do you want to tell us about the launch of My Application? And I believe that was at reInvent, right?
At reInvent last year. It feels funny to say last year, given that we're just like 2 months in, a month and a half into this year. But at reInvent last year, we launched My Applications. We also launched something called Application Operations. And they were launched at the same time. And Application Operations is the key piece that makes My Applications work. And both of these are targeted against making it much easier to manage applications or groups of resources in a smarter way, so that you create an application once, and now you can use that application, reference that application across various services in AWS without having to redefine them, reconfigure something. They pop up, they work, you can select them. So big launch for us.
Could you give a definition of what applications means to you?
So
before we get into it.
Yeah, that's fine. So application, we use the term application to be consistent. Other will use terms like as workloads, services, different ways of doing it. But think of it as a logical group of resources that together provide some sort of business value. It could be, I have a number of EC2 instances together with a DynamoDB that runs code on top of those instances that call out to DynamoDB for database. I'm up using SQS as the queuing system. All those AWS resources together would be the foundation for an application in the world that I'm going to be talking about applications.
I want to pause this just real quick for just a moment because I believe we just went live on the other channel. So I want to just do a quick intro to everybody who's joining us right after the TNC content that just ended. Welcome to AWS OnAir. We're covering all the latest and greatest from AWS, and we're talking with Anders right now about some of the launches about organizing your applications and what that means, and all the things that happen at reInvent that make that easier.
Yeah.
So welcome to the stream. Please feel free to put your questions in chat as we are talking with Anders.
Yeah. So so I'll go back to so one of the things we have this definition of an application, and as I mentioned before, the two big launches we had in reInvent, one was application operations, the other was My Applications. And application operations is the piece where we ensure that resources in an application they're identifiable so that you understand which application they're part of, so that AWS services can function and take that into account. And My Applications takes that information and uses that information as a way of displaying it in one place. So you can go to one place and get a lot of information about your application without having to roam around in various different consoles.
Got it. And can I ask, so I know with a lot of our services like this, it's slowly grown over time with, it started as a little chickling and has turned into what it is today. How would you describe like AWS's growth in this section? Where were we, I don't know, a couple of years ago or even longer ago? And how has it been seeing it grow?
So part of it is that it's that reInvent was the real big public launch about this. We have been working for a while behind the scenes to make a lot of changes into our platform so that we could actually get to this point where we can talk about applications. But reInvent, so really the big thing for customers to interact with us has been really what was launched at reInvent. Now there are a set of services. Not all services support it yet. It's something we're working on. Goal is to get there and get every single service onboarded into this experience. But at reInvent, we launched 3 major services that were support this notion of an application. Security Hub. So in Security Hub, you'll get your security findings rolled out per application. It will say, like, for application Banana, in this case, you have 3 high and 6 low severities. It gets also used in the billing world, like Cloud Cost Explorer. Not enough coffee, apparently.
Everything else starts with
Yeah,
cloud, so it's
I know. Cost Explorer, budgets. You can set a budget on an application that you define. You can also see it in your cost and usage reports. It also is something that's consumed as part of Application Signals, which was a new service that CloudWatch launched. And it launched with application support in it. So it's sort of like one of the first that really came out, and like, well, there's an application built into it. You can always, we also, as part of this, enhanced Resource Explorer, which is for those that haven't used it, you should go and look at it. It's an awesome service where you can search for services across the accounts in your organization, right? And what we enhanced it with was to provide a simpler query parameter, so you can go in and say application : and you put in the name of your application, and it will list your resources. Right. So
Cool.
you'll see this slowly but surely trickling out, where it's going to become more and more prevalent across the board. So
Awesome. And I'm curious, because we haven't properly asked a question for the chat yet. If you're in the chat, what's your favorite service that you would hope that this integrates with? What's your favorite AWS service?
Yep, wow. I want to know.
I want to know what your favorite is. We'll maybe it'll drive a feature one day with this.
Should we jump into a demo and show how this works?
Yeah.
Just about to say, it's probably easier to see than talk about so much. So let's see what it looks like.
So yeah, so what you see here is console home. So this is like the home page if you sign into the console, not a specific service console. And you'll see a widget here that says applications. And this is a new widget that was launched at reInvent as well, where you'll see the list of applications that you've created. In this case, you'll see, I've got 3 in this case. I've got apple, banana, and grapefruit. And yes, I happen to like fruit. That's why I name my applications that way. What you can do, yeah, exactly. If I create a new one, we'll call it something with a fruit, of course. If I go to there's a link at the bottom that says go to my applications. It will still list the applications, but you now get more information, like starting to roll up information. As you see, there are now tiles, and it shows what's the current cost for this month for an application. It will tell you about security findings. You see banana as an example, that is 34 security findings. And you can all that kind of information. If you drill in further, and let's click on banana in this case, it's my favorite fruit. Now you get a lot of information about this application. Exactly, vulnerable banana.
Very cool.
The banana peels are not yellow; they're basically turning gray. So, but on this page now, what we've done, and this is where we've seen a lot of interest from customers, a lot of value for customers. Now this information get rolled up. It's not saying this is what your account looks like. It says for this application, the cost of it is, as you can see, there's a cost widget that shows cost for this month, forecasted cost, what the last month's cost was. You see breakdown in services, that's part of it. I'll get to the application summary on the side in a little bit, because then we can talk about how these pieces work under the covers. But you also see here is like the compute aspect. In this case, you'll see, well, this application, it has 2 instances. I happen to have 2 Lambda functions. That's one widget. And further down, we can keep going down, a lot of information. You see the security information, talks about, this comes from Security Hub. So it's rolled out of information that talks about my findings. You see some information on monitoring operations, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll see how we keep adding in widgets in here as well. So you now have a dashboard for this application that you've created that shows the information about that application specifically. And if I selected any of the other 2 I had, you will see other information, but it's focused on that application in that case. So
we got some people answering too, by the way. We got people answering Gigi's question about services. We got AWS Resilience Hub getting a shout out from chat.
Yep. It's partly integrated. It actually, it's partly integrated into this, where you can select an application that has been created through the mechanisms that we have. So it is actually there as well. It's one of the services that actually support it.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. So one thing that I wanted to show, this is where it becomes interesting also as a individual working on this. If I see here now, so there's 2 instances. Well, do I now have to go to the EC2 console and do some magic to try to find them? I can now select that, click that link that says 2 instances, and it will take me directly into the EC2 console and only show those 2 instances that are part of my application.
Nice.
Right.
Cool.
So it is now focused down on the area. She's exactly where I'm working. So just to show there's no, it's not the case that I only have 2 instances. If I click clear the filter, you'll now see I have many, many more instances that are actually running in this
Right.
account. So
Anders,
it is a way for you to actually go to that.
Is this using tags behind the scenes?
Yes.
Is this creating a tag on his resources?
Exactly. Yeah. So let me go back to the screen that I had before.
Got it. Do
And
you?
this is where I wanted to go up and talk a little about that left corner that we were touching on.
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Does it tag it for you, or is it? And you might answer this in 1 minute.
So
But it tags it for you, and you say what's part of it,
yes,
or reverse, or
yes,
it
it
goes
does.
both ways?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yep.
All the above.
Yep. I will get there. Fantastic questions leading the demo.
We
So
told
as you
you
see
we're
here
gonna
on the
make you
left hand
look
side, what
good.
I wanted to show for every application will have, exactly. So if you look in this case, like every application, they will have a unique application tag. So in this case, this is the unique value for this specific application that I have. And it's an R and it has a GUID towards the end. So every resource that is part of this application will have this tag and will have this key, that the key is AWS application and then this value, right? And we do the tagging, right? So let me walk through that real quick, and I need to go back to where I can create an application. So we have a button. You can go to this page, click create application. And what you have to do is, of course, you're going to give it a name. So let's do some sort of fruit here. Watermelon. I like watermelon. And I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to do this very simple to show how easy it is to get an application created. Now, basically, you'll see here, well, I don't see any resources because I haven't added any resources yet. So you just click on select resources. And this is where Resource Explorer that I talked about is actually working in the back end. It's the one that's going to help display the resources. And I can either go in and select them by clicking here on and off the ones that I want. But there's a lot of resources. So you see this list here, and you can see there's like 23 pages with additional resources. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to call out a very specific tag that I want to use. Oh, live demo. There we go. You'll see there's 4 instances.
It is live.
So I'll select those 4 instances. It is live. Exactly. That's why
My part is recorded.
failed.
Thank you.
I'm recorded.
Yeah.
AM is just a recording in a box.
That's right.
Yeah, and this now says review and create, and I'll now create the application. And you could do all this through APIs as well. This is not console only. It actually allows you to do it also through the APIs. And what you'll see where you end up here is now I'm in the dashboard for the application, and it's newly created. So there's not much you can see in here. Go up to the top and we'll say manage resources. Slowly but surely, it will come back. And if you see towards the end there, it says resource tags. If I click on here, you'll see the project, the tag that I will automatically add it to the resources. So yeah, that's exactly. So we're taking away a lot of the challenges we know that people might have with, I might mistag things, I might misspell them. This takes those pieces away. Now, this is a user tag. So a way of also adding resources in to an application would be, I could go in and just tag the resources I want to add. I don't have to go through this mechanism. I can also tag them myself because I might have, customers that have their own tagging strategy defined and have mechanisms where they're deploying resources and then applying their own tags to them. You can now build some automation around. We don't have that automated yet, but you can build automation that says, oh, if the resource shows up with as an example, product needs in watermelon, automatically tag it with this application tag. And now you have the automation of resources getting added if as necessary. So all this now, given this, we have a new application. This is so new, so it doesn't really show anything with regards to information. I don't know about the cost or anything because I've pretty much set it up, right? But that's how easy it is to create a new application in this environment. And this application now is recognized. It's a security hub, any services that is integrated into what we call application operations.
So speaking of operations, great to see the cost. I mean, I think that we already had comments from chat calling out how nice it is to see cost at a application layer instead of a broader service layer. My mind as a DevOps person, my mind goes to what about operational insights, right? What about metrics? Are we breaking? Oh, look at this, Anders. You already are showing me the monitoring operations are also
wonderful
bucketed. Let's go into that. Let's talk about
that. Let me do this then. I'll go back to the banana one because that one is more set up than the previous one.
It's more on brand with AWS too. With our
so what you can do here as well, like there's everything is banana stand, exactly. I never thought of that. That was brilliant. I never thought of that. So monitoring.
I think Adam's in a bit of a delay.
This is there's an alarm. I have an SLI created. It's not. So it's more one of those where it could be better. I could have it set up, but I can go in and ask us, basically say, show me more details. And now it automatically takes me into CloudWatch, allows me to go in and see on the alarm that's being set. It'll show all the alarms, but in this case, it's the banana alarm that's pre-selected for me. And I had a very simple alarm that says if CPU is above 90, then basically send me an alarm, right? So you can go in and set all these pieces up and tie them back to the application. And now you get more and more information that's tied to this world you're living in. So if your job is to only work with banana, guess what? We're helping to focus down to give you the opportunity of only dealing with those, the resources and actions and events that might happen for that application. So
that's great. I mean, look, when you are when you're dealing with something that is disrupting one of these applications, being able to go in and filter down to exactly what you want to see exactly at the right time is imperative, right? That makes all of our lives easier as operational people working in these types of workloads. So this is great. I really like this, Anders. This is really, really.
I have one more demo little thing to do if we have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Can I
Resource?
Oh, there we go. Resource. It's a new service we're launching. No, I'm just kidding. So Resource Explorer says, for those that are in the audience that have not looked into this and taking advantage of it, you should. This is a super tool. It gives you the ability of seeing resources across the board.
Real quick, Anders, before we move away from the metrics side, we had a question from chat. Just saw it. Can you customize the widgets? What if I don't want all of them? So
you can take away that. You can remove the you can remove any widgets that you're not interested in. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. It's just widgets. You can remove them, as I said. Yeah, no, that's fine. And there will be more widgets added later on. So these are the widgets that was there. So let me make this a little bigger as well. So there we go.
Awesome.
So
we got some help in the chat too.
Okay, yeah. So the Resource Explorer, as I said, is one of those that allows you to search on resources. Now, one of the things we know that might be interesting is I could create applications that sits in different regions and create applications that sits in different accounts. How do I know about all the applications I have? What you can do is a query that looks like this. Now I'm going to show some magic here. Let's see if I can remember this on top of my head. Did I get that? Oh, I should say resource type. This is live demo, people.
Yeah, I'm captivated.
Look at that.
I am.
And nice. What you...
lost audio there.
We lost
Yeah,
audio, but we can see what you're doing. Very cool.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Good.
Yeah. So what I did now, and this is what I've got set up for my resource explorers. I set it up saying is I want to see everything across all my accounts in my organization. So this query has now returned all the applications I have created using this mechanism we talked about across all my accounts. And it will tell you which region they're in. They will tell you which account they're in. They will tell you the name, and it'll see the identifier. So I can now get a full list, and it says, you look at the resource count, I got 150 applications created. So it's a super tool with getting to this kind of information and understanding like what is it that I actually have within my environment. So I just wanted to show this because I just think
so important.
This is a super awesome tool. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'd say the only thing that I'm disturbed by is the lack of lemon. Actually, I see mango, pineapple, grapefruit. Seeing a lot of fruits, but not my favorite, lemon. And you know what they say: when life hands you lemons, you use it as capital. That's the famous saying. Anyway, so what's the recommendation you got for somebody who wants to go out and try getting started with organizing their applications this way, Anders?
Well, one is says, try the path. Go into where we started. I'll show it again. Go back to this page, console home. I'll even do console home.
Console home.
Better starting point. Yeah, console home.
So console home is just when you log in.
It is with you log in unless you've selected some other place, but it is if you select. Oh, let me get rid of this stuff. It's not necessary to be here. If you click on the AWS logo, it will take you to console home automatically. So it's an easy way of getting there. On console home, there is this create application button. So you can select that and you'll get into the same flow that I showed from creating an application. And now you can try it out. And you can either, as an example, if you as a customer, you have deployed your resources using CloudFormation, you don't have to select the individual resources in the stack. You can select the stack and say, you select the stack.
That's awesome.
And what it will do, it will put the application tag on the stack and all the resources in the stack. So once again, we're making life easier. You don't have to think about those pieces. That now becomes an application. And you can have multiple stacks in the same application. It doesn't have to be a one-to-one mapping, right? You might have deployed different things using different stacks, but that together for you is an application. So get started, go in, try it out, see what it does, try out the bits and pieces and learn how they work and see how that is. I said, this was a quick overview of what I did. There's a lot of good opportunities. I didn't go in and show the billing side, but there's a lot of pieces in there. So yeah, it's very cool.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot. I'm
curious.
Thanks,
Anders. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
Gigi.
curious. Before we lose you, can you also just type in my applications in the services search bar and it'll come up?
You should be able to do so.
Where does it come up?
Yep, it goes to.
Got
I think it come
there
up.
You go.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And
so
it takes you in this case not to console home, but it takes you into yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Robert Tables is loving this, and I am too. Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, we do have to move on. We've got other things to cover. But Anders, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. This was awesome.
See you next time.